CSA box is packed with seasonal fruits and vegetables that are key to a balanced diet. This is the typical size of my CSA box, but this week I have 2 boxes, which can feel overwhelming and heavy. In this video, I'll show you how I go about working through a large quantity of seasonal fruits and vegetables in just 1 week. Hi, I'm Micaela, creator of the kitchenlister online recipe finder and pantry management tool. My goal in this video is to give you the confidence to try out a CSA subscription for yourself, which will help with your goal of eating a balanced diet. You'll have no problem using a CSA box, which contains as little as 6 items, after watching me use a double CSA box, which contains over 30.
First, some general tips to help you get started.
Make sure you take the time to store produce properly. Plan on eating leftovers or something very simple to prepare the day you pick up your box so you don't feel rushed. Most items should be kept in the fridge, but not always. Adding paper towels helps avoid spoilage. And pay attention to the crisper drawers. Most have humidity settings, so use them. Second, think about using up produce according to perishability. Most cut greens and fresh herbs are highly perishable, so focus on using those first. Root vegetables, onions, cabbage, potatoes, and apples are all long-keeping, so just make sure they're stored well and use them after everything else is gone.
Thinking about your produce in this way also makes it easy to decide what to cook next. For specifics, download my free vegetable storage and perishability chart at kitchenlister.com.
Now let's talk about some of the items I have to cook with this week. This is the amount of food in 1 box, but remember, I have twice this much. And here it is again, simply separated into low, medium, and high perishability groups. Now with so much produce, I also want to consider which items freeze well. Broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots are obvious choices, but any leafy greens and beets can also be frozen if fully cooked first. And a few additional items freeze well with extra prep. Basil and cilantro can be made into pesto, and eggplants can be roasted and pureed, or many of these vegetables can be made into soups.
How am I going to use these frozen vegetables if I'm always getting new CSA boxes? The longest CSA subscriptions typically only run for 6 months out of the year. If you're trying to eat locally, you'll appreciate having your freezer stocked with fruits and vegetables in the dead of winter.
The next step is to come up with a rough meal plan for the week. Think about incorporating produce into breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
I usually aim to cook all of each ingredient at one time, rather than having small amounts of each remaining. If it's too much food for one meal, then it becomes leftovers for lunch.
This tip is less useful for ingredients that you'll eat raw, since they are quick to prepare on the spot. One way to check that you are on track to use everything within the week is to divide the number of items by the number of days. In this case, 15 different varieties of produce over 1 week means I should use up about 2 things per day.
Obviously, this is just a rough guide to help you plan your meals and make sure that you aren't left with too much produce at the end of the week.
So let's look again at the produce I received this week, again sorted by perishability. Mixed salad greens means I'll be eating salad for the first couple days. To keep it interesting, I'll toss in some of the fresh herbs, cherry tomatoes, cucumber slices, radishes, or Asian pears, plus any nuts, cheese, or cured meats that I might have on hand. Salads make easy packable lunches and also work for breakfast with a poached egg.
Or if you're not a fan of salads, try the greens on sandwiches as a replacement for lettuce.
Speaking of breakfast, beet greens are delicious sautéed in butter and served with fried egg. And of course, bacon, sausage, or toast could be added to complete these meals. If you like smoothies for breakfast, cucumbers make an interesting addition and can help thin them out. I think I'll make a basil cilantro pesto to serve with eggplant pasta and freeze any extra pesto. I'll also roast the extra eggplant at the same time and then freeze it for later. Any fresh tomatoes can be added at the end of cooking to brighten up most dishes. Radishes also make easy garnishes on the plate, but my favorite is radish crostini. Bread, butter, sliced radishes, and salt, topped with thinly sliced radish greens, which make great appetizers for entertaining. One of my go-to dishes for using up lots of leafy greens is a baked casserole. The basic formula is to sauté a mixture of any type of greens, and then bake it with a topping, usually cheese. I cook the greens with other vegetables like onion, garlic, cabbage, peppers, and chilies when available.
I also mix in mustard, olives, capers, or canned tuna, and sometimes add tomatoes, nuts, or breadcrumbs to the topping.
Since I didn't get many greens in my box this week, I'll try using a combination of cooked broccoli and cauliflower instead of the greens. At the same time, I could blanch and freeze any broccoli and cauliflower that I don't use. Or I could make a broccoli cheese frittata to have on hand for easy lunches. Finally, the pears and grapes can be served throughout the week with breakfast, or eaten as snacks or dessert. Okay, it has been 3 days since I picked up my CSA box, so let's see how I'm doing. I used up the last of the salad with an omelet this morning. I added the remaining radish greens to the broccoli cauliflower casserole. Following my rule, I've hopefully used at least 6 items. So here's what's left, and everything is still looking good. I'll roast the beets and carrots to make a filling for tacos, and top with shredded cabbage, queso fresco, and fresh cilantro. I can't eat tacos without pinto beans, so fortunately I have some on hand. I'd also like to use up some items from the freezer, so I searched for #freezer in my kitchenlister tool to see everything I have. This list is long enough that I would forget about a lot of these things if I didn't keep track of them here. It looks like I have cooked chickpeas, which I'll use to make a salad with the leftover roasted beets, and I also have vegetable stock to make carrot soup with the rest of the carrots. Since whole heads of cabbage will keep for months, I'll use up the cut cabbage with pickled vegetables and leftover pinto beans and save the remaining heads for later. The Anjou pears are not ripe yet, so I'll continue to leave them at room temperature. So here we are at the end of the week. Let's take a look at what's left. A couple heads of cabbage and half the pears. Not bad. With this many pears, I'll sauté some of them to eat with pancakes or waffles.
This week, I've shown you how I tackle using up lots of seasonal fruits and vegetables, one of the keys to maintaining a balanced diet. If you're trying to reduce your meat consumption, CSA boxes are an easy way to get started. With so much produce, you simply don't have enough room left on your plate for meat. You can see a transcript of this video by clicking Show More in the description below. But if you have any questions about anything I've covered, leave me a comment below. And don't forget to go to kitchenlister.com to download my free vegetable storage and perishability chart.
It doesn't work.
First, some general tip. Screw stuff. Is that too close?
Diving in the camera there.
Someone's like, what the are you thinking? Doing this, I realized a lot of people probably don't know how to do this. No. Do you dump everything all over the table when you're trying to mix in your tiny bowl?
Or if you're not a fan of salads, say something. Okay, it's been 3 days.
Have a different outfit on.
No. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.